I had to give us. Oh, thank you. I had to give us all a big round of applause there because actually we are a little bit later, and I say we, it's me. And there was a little bit of a bust up backstage here in Munson Mansions when I was trying to rush Carl to get a coffee, and there was a lot of expletives. And our two guests, Benjamin and Sarah, heard, and it was so funny because they both said, "Oh, look, I've got my effing coffee," and then the other one said, "Yes, I've got my effing coffee too." So I'm hoping Mr. M comes with my effing coffee in just a moment because it's Friday, it's the end of the week, and we are going to be talking really quite intensely and quite, I think, with lots of authenticity, lots of probably stories being shared about this whole conundrum of how we stand up and be ourselves and also earn money, like, how we allow ourselves to be prosperous and creative at the same time, because for many people it's a bit of a problem. So let's bring Benjamin and Sarah on now. I think Carl's coming in a second when he's made the coffee. And I'd just like to welcome everyone that's watching so far. Please do let us know who you are and what your experience is of charging yourself out, or what are your thoughts? I mean, maybe you think it's immoral to charge for your spiritual skills and services. Who knows? But let's bring on our guests now with a magical round of applause. Hello. How are you this morning? Ben, thanks for coming back so quickly. And Sarah, thanks for coming back again.
Top left? Am I the top left for everyone else?
Yeah, I think so.
Top left. I feel like I've done the tour now.
Oh, do you want to? You can be over here now if you like.
No, that's where I'm normally at the bottom. That's right.
Oh. Well, who knows what you'll be when Carl joins? We might play around a little bit. So, we were talking just a couple of days ago about being unapologetically ourselves, and it came up, Ben, didn't it, in our conversation about, the difficulty in, working in a career where you're kind of really giving of yourself, not really necessarily professional skills, though they are also professional skills, but you're giving something almost like it feels like you're giving something from your soul a little bit. And the difficulty in charging with that. And like Sarah's back, I mean, Sarah and I have had loads of conversations about things like this in the past. And Sarah, when you've been on the show, we've been talking about being yourself, being unapologetic, standing in your light and stuff. So I just thought this would be the best thing. Look, we kind of get together and have a real good chin wag about it.
Yeah.
So Ben, first of all, what have you thought since about this? Has anything else come to mind?
Well, first, it's a pleasure to be joined by Sarah, because I feel like I'm famous. I've watched her a few times. So live with Sarah. What's been nice, I didn't get a chance to read the comments, but what was nice was some of the bits I did see before we went off was people kind of resonating. I think it's I've just been kind of pondering a lot about it and where I'm at, and it was so free to say it. But since then, so we did it on Wednesday, didn't we? Yeah. So I had so I was helping a friend out. My friend makes beautiful aromatherapy candles / wax melt oils, and they're beautiful. So I've helped her out a few times when she struggled making them. So she asked me to go on the Wednesday with the thing, didn't we? So Wednesday I went down to help her, and I just put podcasts on, and I kind of just listen while I'm doing stuff. And it was by Tara Swartz again. I think I told you about her the other day. Yeah. And I put it on, and then I said the epiphany I had from listening to her was the thinking of gratitude. And I feel like I'm going off on a tangent here, but you're asking how I felt since. And there was the freedom of being authentic is a lot of times the fear is, like we said, if we're ourselves, and probably Sarah knows a lot about more this than me, if we're ourselves, or if we're to us or too authentically us, then we're going to get rejected. So like from when we were younger, maybe like I was definitely too much when I was younger. I've been told to calm down, don't be so wild. So that kind of aspect. So it was interesting to listen to this and hear her talk about gratitude, but not just gratitude like forced gratitude, but genuine like gratitude for everything. Now, what's I found since since I was chatting about it on Wednesday was this ease about like the ease of going, well, that's me now. So it's like the demon on the shoulder or the monster in the bed. I put the light on it, right? There it is. There you go. It's out. And I felt this brilliant freedom of gratitude. By that I mean, like, just as when you said about, when you go on people's deathbeds and they have the regrets, like,
yeah.
Did this more and more and more. I feel like someone's wiped me with that. Like I just so at ease and grateful for so many things with it since the session. And this is what's really interesting, because I don't mind saying this because money's no issue for me. I got a beep today. You know, I said about how my it's doing this. I got a beep on my account and it was like, you are overdrawn. I was like, what? And I should be overdrawn. And then I checked, and it was a year since I moved into this house, and some big mama bills went out. And you know what? I don't fucking care. Like, it's not money. Like that fear of like being like, oh no, I should be like manifesting more. I was like, but you know what it's done? It's made me go since the Wednesday. I've just felt this gratitude for everything. Like this weird, like I've been waved like with Jay's magical wand. That I just feel this ease about stuff. It's like if somebody's, once you've shown authentically you, then what has it got? What has the ego got? So the reason why I wanted to kind of start with that is because that's happened this morning. And when I got the beep, I was walking with the dog, and it was a beautiful morning. And it's like in England at the moment, it's like there's a freeze, so it's like beautiful frosts, beautiful colours of the autumn, leaves are still on. And I thought, I'm so grateful, really. I can figure this out. This will come in. It will sort out. Because loads of jobs haven't just come in yet. Like, there's one there. So I'm in that interim, but I'm like, so I'm feeling through the authentically us-ness. There's less fear of being seen. Does that make sense? Because you are being seen. Whether it's, I haven't got as much money as I thought I would have this time, or I'm fine of how the way I look, but when you're there like, right, I'd rather be this than have that constant niggle of that. What if they find out? What if they see this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally understand that. Like that is it shame? Maybe I know I felt a bit ashamed in the past when things haven't gone so well.
Yeah,
and I've wanted to share it. Which
and that's
obviously, if I'd shared it, it might have resolved.
That's the thing. So with this, because I know I've just hijacked the first part of the conversation, but what there is that is what the fear of because of course talking about abundance, but what I've realised is like, sometimes we say we want things with our mouths and our energy says something different. That we were wanting something different, and I'm thinking the gift I've had the past few days is the first time in my life true gratitude. Like I was on my deathbed and someone's gone, "This is going to be taken." I feel quite emotional now. Like this is going to be taken away from you. I'm like, what? No, I like my friends. I like the autumn. I like the dog. And I'm thinking it's so irrelevant, some of the things that I was worrying about before and worrying about. So the thing of that show on Wednesday where we're authentically us, that is just so freeing because it takes that fear away of what if people know. Well, no. So, and then it's been so weird, but so freeing.
Beautiful. Is that coming through your mic?
Not anymore.
Hello. That's better. Well done.
There you go. You sound good to me.
So Carl's here, but I want to hear from Sarah first. I'm going to put her up here so we've got a nice boy-girl kind of party feel.
Party.
Welcome back.
Thank
once
you.
again. What are your thoughts? Because I know we've had lots of conversations about this, and kind of where are you at as we start this conversation?
Well, just Ben, with what you started off with, that idea that if I tell the truth, I'm just gonna, if I tell the truth, the sky's gonna fall in. Right? And you told the truth about something, or you felt truthful, or you were being in the truth of it without pretending that, trying to fight against whatever this thing is that we think is happening. And you told the truth, and that's what it feels like when you tell the truth, where you're like, oh, wait, I told the truth, and this person still talks to me, and I still have a roof over my head, and the sun is going to set and rise, right? So that's, I mean, for me, that's that gratitude you're talking about. It's like you can tell the truth and somebody might be upset. So
Yeah.
what is this thing about us not wanting or thinking we can manage whether or not someone is upset with us? And how much and how long, because Dan and I were talking about this, when you sort of bend yourself out of a shape that is comfortable for you so that
Yeah.
you can fit into a situation, if you knew that was only going to last 10 seconds, because in our minds, it's just lasting the 10 seconds, getting us through that situation. But you don't know how long you're going to have to keep doing that to maintain status quo. So like 10 years later, you're like, Jesus, back in 1991, I bent myself into a shape so I could I wasn't completely honest with
Mm.
myself mostly. And 10 years later, I'm still doing this,
Yeah.
so you don't know how long you're going to have to keep doing it. So this idea of I don't know how it's going to come in. I'm sure Louisa will lead us there, but into being
Yeah.
able to charge for your, knowing that you
Mm.
can step into what you're bringing to the table and whether you're running it as a business or not.
Yeah.
But I get it, Ben, in that I in my last business, I did think about every decision I made and how it might affect my business and how, this is who I am personally. And what if people know? What if people find out that I think, of this way instead of this way? And
Mm.
when do I get the scarlet letter and the public tarring and feathering?
Yeah.
You know?
Carl can talk about this a little bit.
What?
No, thank you, Sarah. There's a couple of things I just want to add. Actually, before we do that, let's just say hello to some of the people watching. So we've got Jay Girl, it's our lovely Jay watching us. We've got Owen Lloyd Martin. Hello, my lovelies. Hello, Owen. We've got T
Hi,
Duck
Owen.
joining us with a lovely bon dia. Hi, T Duck. We love you. And Jay saying 4 of my favorite people all in one place. I think you might need to join us a bit later on if you want. Just let me know, and I'll drop you a link for later on. Yeah, when you were saying that, Sarah, I might have something to add. You reminded me of a story years ago that I was applying for some work on a tarot line, and this lady was interviewing me, and she said, "Oh, how long have you been a tarot reader?" And I said, "Oh, I've been doing it since I was 15." And she said, "No, how long have you been a professional tarot reader?" And I said, "Well, I've done a few, I've done a few jobs." And she said, "Are you physically earning money from this? That you're like, are you paying all your bills with your skill?" And I said, "No." She said, "Well, come back when you are."
Harsh.
And it was harsh, but actually it gave me a really good definition of whether I am actually doing something or not. So I did realize, I remember when I did hypnotherapy and NLP training, you get the qualification and you say, "Yep, I'm an NLP practitioner or a master practitioner." Or you say, "Oh yes, I'm a driver." Okay, how many you passed your driving test, but are you actually doing it? Are you doing it enough to really say that you've got the skill? And I realized lots of people come out of training and say, "Yeah, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. I'm also Reiki, whatever, and I can blow smoke out my ass." But we might not be doing it professionally. We might not be helping people. We might just be doing a little swap here and there. And so I think that's something that plays into it. And the reason why I mentioned you, Carl, in public tarring and whatnot, Carl gets obviously quite a few followers, and people, because you and I do as well. Well, we're all doing this actually. We're all providing something hopefully interesting, thought-provoking, a place for people to meet up. We're creating a sense of community, and we're doing it from the goodness and kindness of our own hearts. And I'm sure there's some egoic things, like it might suit us to do it, we might enjoy doing it. I hope we all enjoy doing it. I don't want you coming if you don't, but we're doing it, we're showing up. And I think there's a sort of kind of weird culture now that if you're giving time for free, doing something you love, people tend to expect more. So you've had people tell you off, haven't you?
Or for not being how they
want you to be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's
Do you want to talk about that a little bit, or what your
not
immediate?
Really.
Okay. Carl is being his delightful self, being his authentic self, and he tells jokes across the political spectrum, and then somebody hears him say something,
I see, yeah. Okay.
And all of a sudden, like people build up an idea of who you are, and then if you're not meeting their need personally, because it feels like a person-to-person connection, if you're somehow failing their expectations of that dream that they've created about you, what you represent to them, they become all of a sudden your most vehement enemies.
And I think that's okay. I'm good with that. I mean, that's a moment of clarity and reality, isn't it? That they got the wrong idea, or they get a different idea, and it's not what I think. That's just like how life is, really. It's dynamic, and people are forming associations based on their preferences or not, and it's all good. And the interesting thing about it for me is how it would have upset me much more years ago. That's the distinction.
So what's changed then that it doesn't upset you? Because it happens at least 3 or 4 times a year, doesn't it?
What seems to be the dynamic of this existence is that it hurts, doesn't it? And that's how you learn. So I if it hadn't happened, I couldn't have made that evolutional progress, if you like. So it kind of had to happen that I was in that situation thinking, oh no, I shouldn't have posted that Joe Biden meme. Sorry, right wing hate meme or whatever it was. And years ago, I'd have really got upset about losing somebody, thinking I wasn't a good person or some rubbish like that. And when it happens, you get the chance to think about what's really going on, and then you get some freedom potentially, don't you? Or not? It's entirely optional.
Or that's the point where a lot of people stop gifting the world, or stop trying to share their gift financially, like as a job in the world.
Oh, because they get hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the thing about this conversation, isn't it? This is such a fascinating conversation. Because I think it extends to creative people as well as some spiritual people.
Yeah.
And I mean, Ben ticks both those boxes, don't you? I mean, you're always often putting your heart and soul out there. This is me and my creativity and what I believe in. Only for people who live in a world of likes and dislikes, and a consumer world where you just say what you think about stuff and buy it or don't buy it. It's just such an awkward, and I feel it. I'm just talking about it. I'm thinking, there's Ben, for example, bearing his soul with his music and his acting, and all it could take is for somebody to say that's crap, and you have
it's not, by the way.
No, but that's what I'm saying is people can say that, and that is the gift with this, isn't it? Is to see what happens then. And I'm sure, Ben, you've evolved or changed or adjusted your view and relationship to that sort of thing, and because I think that's what essentially we're talking about here.
There's 2 things there. One, I want to kind of say, firstly, it's very funny. So we did a film that went viral. It was quite good, actually, and the feedback's been beautiful. The one I did, Company, it was a little LGBTQ plus AI film, and my friend made it.
AI. Is that
AI? Cute. Yeah.
No, you.
Basically, the community. I can, like you said, Carl, I can take the joke because I am part of that community. You'd be classed as homophobe.
Sorry.
No.
Shit.
You said it. I'm not joking. That's what I'm saying, because you can't joke at people, because I'm in it, I can say it. But so basically, we had, and what's really lovely about it, we did a little film. It was meant to be like a little kind of like, we're going to get together type thing. And it was really cute. And do you know what? We've had 48,000 people view, which is bonkers. I think I said this the other day.
That's brilliant.
And we've had 48,000 people. It's a brand new account. It's not even like it's a big account. So amazing. And loads of comments are just like, I need this today. Thank you for a real gay love story. Because me and Jacob, the guy at Ron, most times with films, they're all like pristine jawlines. I've barely got a jawline, but like, So lots of lovely comments like, "Oh, lovely story, lovely real life story, blah blah." One comment, garbage. It's just literally, that's it. And then like you, Carl, it didn't affect me. And going back to quickly what I said before about the kind of freedom I felt since Wednesday. I mean, it's been coming for a while, I think, possibly. But similarly, it's not just about gratitude. It's about the kind of, I don't care. Like he's got free will, and it doesn't affect me nowhere near as much as it would have. Like you said, a couple of years ago, but it's garbage, especially if it was my first acting role. But I don't know what it was calling garbage. Maybe it isn't everything. But I didn't get triggered by it as much as I thought I would at all, really. I kind of half went, oh, he didn't like that. And then you're like, but, it's in the thing that's as getting older, I have. But what I want to say about the thing about going back to what we were on about money, because I know I went off on a tangent, but I knew it'd always come back, is I got paid by, look, it's quite funny. I got a little job, a contract job to set up an app and it's called the Happy Appy. And it's where it's pretty cool. It's just an app. So I'd already got the app for my coaching, but I dropped it because it didn't really work. But basically, I copied that for a local council to do the Happy Appy, where 23 people can they pay me to do it. So I was getting paid, but they'd get free places. So we advertised it, 23, change your mindset in 30 days, be happier, etc., etc. Free, announced everywhere. Did we sell out? No, we had 17 people sign up. Like a free app to make you happier, which is what everyone wants, right? So we could have laughed that we only had 17 people. By the end, we had 3 because like everyone dropped off.
Yeah.
And part of me is getting to the point when it comes to like self-help and change and whatnot is it's not I'm lacking empathy anymore. But I think energetically, I'm sure Sarah, all of us can understand this. You work and they're not helping themselves, or friends or family going, "Oh, I want to change." I'm like, well, they're changing nothing. They're still doing the exact same thing, and they're not listening to any advice. They're not doing anything different. And then they're coming to us like life shit. And I'm like, well, I don't know what else to say. I've got to the point where I'm more like, I don't know. Like, or sometimes I'll just sit and won't speak because I'm like, they're like, I know what you're going to say. I'm like, yeah, well, I've said it 42,000 times, so I've got less. And that kind of summed up to me that when it was free, no fucker cared. They just did it. Oh, drop out. I didn't pay for it anyway. Now, I'm not suddenly saying we charge everyone the earth, but this is when I'm coming about money. I'm thinking, well, it's an exchange. Like we joked about the windscreen wiper thing. You won't go like, if I went to a guy who sells dog food locally, beautiful guy. He's been really great with the dog, helping me figure out what food goes well with his belly. If I went to him like, oh, give me that dog food, and I went, oh, give it for free because that's your joy in it. You loved it. You love that.
You probably want to practice. So
I'm like, you wouldn't do it. With this, we do, and he wouldn't jump in. And so it's about thinking about the value. That's a really eye opener, and it's something what I thought anyway. Is that if people want help, they'll start asking for it, or they'll start to change. Some people don't, and I'm like, that's okay. If you don't want help, I'm not here to fix the world.
Right. It has to be that way, doesn't it? We're all in this massive mess. I mean, that's how I see it. I was listening to Gabor Mate the other night as a bit of context for my thoughts on this particular question here. And he was saying, trying to understand human nature in the society we live in is trying to understand giraffes by going to a zoo. And I thought that was so powerful because human nature as it is at the moment, or human behavior as at the moment, is just one massive adaptation to a whole karmic cycle of rubbish and nonsense. This culture of ours has emerged like this, and it is what it is. I'm not making it wrong, but I think at the same time as not making something wrong, you can see what its causes and effects are, can't you? Yeah. And I think we are living in a massive 12-step thing. We're all trying to make sense of this existence and reality that we're in our own way, and you don't have to. And that's exactly as it should be. And this is a little bit of that whole conversation, isn't it? And it's kind of like sometimes, yes, some things are true that we're saying, and other times they're not. And it's changing all the time. That's how difficult it is as well to have this conversation, isn't it? Because we can get little nuggets of like, well, no, it shouldn't. Your gift should be free. And that's true one day, isn't it? Especially if you don't have any financial concerns. And some people are in that situation where they think, okay, well, I'd like to keep my healing stuff separate from the money conversation, and that'll keep it nice and clean, and that works. And then for someone who's really going through all sorts of dramas and traumas privately, and they're trying to be a Reiki healer as well, and they've got one client every 6 weeks, and they're 300 quid in debt with their rent at the healing center. That's also something really juicy and useful as well, isn't it? It's like, no, it shouldn't be like that for that poor person who's trying to help heal the world. And in a way, yeah, it should absolutely be like that, because they're getting a really lovely, juicy load of stuff that they can learn from with that in this funny old zoo that we're living in.
I think we've all been there, haven't we, with our new skills?
After doing Reiki 1.
Yeah, and 2. And NLP 1 and 2.
I would love to weigh in on this a little bit.
Yeah, go on.
So many things that are. So first of all, nothing is free.
Yeah.
There's always an exchange taking place. And so even because the most valuable thing we have is our time.
Yeah.
So people go to, let's say there's a 9 to 5 person, they go to work from 9 to 5, and they are basically selling their time to be paid for it.
Mm.
And they would maybe become an expert or become very good at some aspect that they want someone to pay them to go and do that. So they pay for education, which is, again, is your time. So in this whole idea of whether you should charge for things or not, there's always an exchange going on. And I think in the healing sort of space, there's this thing that we get a buzz. We get this buzz that we help somebody. So that's kind of feels like pay in a way. And
Yeah.
and
Doesn't pay my bills.
right. So if you think of it, look at what you're doing and say, okay, is this a business for me? If this is my business, then you are creating a separate entity from you. You're an entity, your business is an entity. And then you have these skills that you're going to provide to this business. And one thing that came out for me is when you were talking about, you'll go take Reiki 1 and you've got one client every 6 weeks, and would you hire yourself?
No.
So if you wouldn't hire yourself to run that business or to be the person that is asking for the money, then it's probably not a business. So how can you position yourself? So yeah, I would hire me. The person that delivers, for example, fuel to somebody's oil tank, or that's probably not a good topic these days. I probably should pick
You can say
something
what you
else.
like here, Sarah.
Anyway, so somebody that's delivering product to, let's say, a little old lady who doesn't really have much money, and they know her, but they have to pass her the bill after they drop it off. He can look at her and go, yeah, isn't that awful? It's not me. It's terrible how much this is. But when you're doing it, when you're self-employed and they're pouring their heart out to you and saying, I haven't got any money, and Ricky won't pile the wood, and I can't pay my taxes, and they're going through this big long list, you're like, wow, and now I have to charge them.
That's at the beginning of the consultation as well, isn't it?
You do
How
it
are
at
you?
yeah, how are you? And it's like, well, so I think there's this the idea that I have is that, if you have a boss that is paying you shit, then you're not going to want to work there very long, are you? So your
Ideally
time is
not.
exchanged for but yeah, like, it's just, there's always an exchange going on. So for me, I always ask, how much do I need to be paid for this to stay fun? Because something that was fun for me 4 years ago for 60 euros might not be fun anymore.
No, it's not.
4 years later.
Yes,
right?
I love that.
Is there an amount of money that makes it fun? And if there isn't an amount of money that makes it fun, it's time to sort of shift and morph and change to something else. So I invite you, if a person is in this stage, I'm going to invite them to say, okay, is there an amount of money that I can charge for this that keeps this, me being in the energy space and consciousness of this expansive, addictive, wonderful feeling that I like to have? Or is it time to change and do something else? So
I love that question.
Because interesting, so because what I found with the past year is when I've just been in the flow state. That's why, you know, I've had jobs literally emailed and given me that have been fun. Like one where I got offered, it was amazing money per day just to drive around the country, look after some actors that were delivering role play training within a company, and they would act certain scenarios. Now I'd make sure they're doing it right, and I would stand in. It was fun. We played games all day, and you know, and it was fun. Like, and that, you know, and other ones as well that have come and it was so enjoyable, like as well. And that's when you kind of like, so really like that phrase of, you know, that kind of statement of saying what would I pay for this fun is great. Like, it's,
I've written it down because I think it's a useful crib note. Is there an amount of money I can charge for this that makes it fun, or is it time to change to something that would be fun? Because I've taken less money for things that have been fun before because I just enjoy it and it feels really good. I just want to bring in Mike and T-Duck into the conversation because Michael's saying great conversation. So it's great that you're here, Mr. B. And T-Duck is saying the older I get, the less I care what others think of me. I am who I am. It won't be long before I stop getting dressed and just wear jammies all day.
I thought we already did that.
Sounds like fun.
The next step is Channels de Pavino. That's when we were like that. That's the sort of Portuguese.
Mr. Bollocks.
Yeah, Mr. Bollocks.
Mr. Portuguese, Mr. Bollocks.
Yeah. And T-Duck's also saying time is greater than money. You can always make more money, but you can never make more time.
That's right.
Yeah,
and that's really important to focus on. And he said, hell no, I wouldn't hire myself. If I did, then my boss would be an a-hole.
But at least you'd own it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that.
That's the thing here, isn't it? Is the consciousness is the important thing. When you've broken it down that, okay, well, this needs to be fun or money, or these are conscious processes, aren't they? That is like, there's nothing that more love can't help. And consciousness is the same, really, essentially, isn't it? Is like, there's nothing more consciousness can't help. And that seems to be the part of this big conversation here, especially with the healers and the creatives and people who do network marketing. It's all about, you know, the balance of self-worth and idealism and the real world, where those two things meet each other. And interestingly, I don't know who I was having a conversation with the other day about this, but creative people, musicians, for example, and other highly paid creatives have managers for that reason, don't they?
Yeah.
Because your it's a totally different dynamic. Once a struggling musician, struggling in every sense, struggling with how they're perceived, struggling with how much money they make. Do people like my work? How much should they pay for it? I shouldn't be paying. It should be fun. I shouldn't be charging for this. A manager steps in and says, my client is amazing. You need to be paying this much if you want them on your record label. And also in the manager's mind is that I get 20% of this. So the more I can ask for, the more I'm going to get. I represent 10 people like this. I'm getting 20% of all of them. That's why managers are so damn well paid, isn't it? Because they've got no shame. And they are working with great talent that they recognize, even if the people who've got that talent don't recognize it for themselves. And these are the dynamics at play here, aren't they? These ideas of self-worth.
Well,
and
Carl,
what we think about the world we live in.
Is it shameful to ask for money?
For some people, it is, isn't it? That's the issue, isn't it? And the consciousness, asking a conscious question like that of this and of yourself helps massively.
That is a really good question, Sarah, actually, because I
if
realized
you're feeling shame, then sorry, go ahead. But that popped into my head.
No, it's a really good question. I'm sure most of us have got some shameful memories of money from back early on in our career or in our childhood. I've got one that really sticks out for me, where my mum sent me round to the local newspaper shop, and I was about 5. So I walked around and she gave me essentially £5 or whatever. It might have even been a £1 note, actually, because obviously we're going back 40 odd years. And so she said, go and get the Radio and TV Times. And so I went off to get the Radio and TV Times.
That's how long ago it was.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really long time ago. So I walked over there, and when I was in the post office, I felt this overwhelming desire to buy my mum some chocolates to show her how much I loved her. And there was this big box of Maltesers, which are like sort of British chocolates. And so I bought her the Radio and TV Times, and also bought these Maltesers for her. And I walked home feeling really excited and so happy that I could give her these Maltesers. And when I got home, I was Oh, my mom absolutely went apeshit and said, "How dare you spend money? You haven't earned that money. You need to go back and get a receipt, get a refund." And I think she might have actually written me a note to take with me. And so it was a really harsh learning lesson. I wouldn't do it with our kids.
Is that why you never buy me chocolates?
Probably. I've got some real pain about that. Just like the thought of, like, you know, what am I doing with money? And there's obviously some shame about holding on to money because I made that mistake a long time ago. So
you
like,
sure got a tarring and feathering too.
Wow, yeah, I massively got it. And then I got a real bollocking from the lady in the shop as well for wasting her time.
No.
I mean, it was really harsh.
Happy times.
But I mean, that's what it's like growing up in like
70s
Britain.
Yeah, school of hard knocks.
But you know, that's what happens anytime you give somebody they're not asking for. You give them
Yes.
something they're not asking for.
Yeah,
You get it back with darts attached.
That is true. Yeah, because she wasn't asking for that, and the lady wasn't trying to sell those chocolates to me necessarily. They were just on offer to a serious buyer.
Yeah, serious buyer. How dare you waste her time?
I've got the other side of that story. As tragic as that is, but it's very interesting, isn't it? You know, what's going on in that child's head and an unsolicited gift. All those dynamics are fascinating. But I used to try and butter up my mum up with gifts. And it's, you know, whilst it looks like, oh, sweet, sentimental little boy trying to, you know, be kind to his mum, it's just a survival strategy so she wouldn't kill me. And I remember
it worked. Apparently, you're still here.
Exactly. Yeah. So yay to my survival strategies. And I remember buying some flowers for my mum, a florist stand at West Kensington Tube Station in London. And I was talking to the woman because I used to buy flowers occasionally for my mum from this place. I said, "Oh yeah, how are you doing?" It's a real nice London vignette. And I said, "Oh yeah, my mum, something got broke. I think the dog broke it, and I was just trying to make everything okay by buying my mum some flowers to cheer her up." And I was telling the woman this story, and I was thinking this woman was, you know, I was thinking, okay, well, I can not only make my mum feel happy, I can make this lady who's selling me the flowers like me too with this story. So I was telling her the story, and she said, "You don't have to buy your mum flowers for that." And she's like, "Well, screw your mum, and screw the dog, and screw you for trying to make life right by buying flowers." It was fantastic, and I couldn't. It was like, you know, a glitch in the matrix. The whole winning formula got disrupted by not hearing what I was hoping for from this woman. And this was like, it was really great. She was like, you know, you don't have to do that. It's not your job to make everything right. She almost like took the money, gave me the money back and took the flowers back. I think I did end up buying the flowers because she obviously had to survive as well. But she didn't. She kind of made this point of like, you don't have to do that. And it was a real wake-up call to a person, you know, deeply invested in that survival strategy.
Such a good
to have someone say that. That's what you need grandparents for as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I just want to, we've got a couple of comments from Bob saying, "What a crew and screen today. I missed it. So grateful to hear the wrap up and also grateful for replays." Bob, it's actually going on right now. It's actually live.
Souls are being
come and bear your soul.
Step through the veil.
And Jay is saying, "Oh my heart broke for you. I had the same with my mum." This is obviously a theme. In fact, as I was telling you that story, all of a sudden I thought, oh, hang on, maybe my mum thought I was just trying to buy chocolates so that I could have some chocolates, because that might be one of my thoughts with our children. But our children, just what they do is they buy chocolates and then they share it with us, don't they? But
yeah, and I think with our kids, we can say, "Did you just buy those chocolates so you could have some?"
And they'd say,
"Yeah, busted." And then we can look at each other and go, "Isn't human nature utterly shallow and shitty?" And we look at each other and go, "Yes, it is, Mum and Dad."
We're creating a situation that doesn't have shame in it, or trying to, aren't we?
Yeah.
But
in owning that side, I think it's not about denying those aspects of us, like the kind of is there a selfless good act because we feel good in doing a good act.
Yeah.
But I think it's more just being authentic again and being open with why we're doing it. And yeah, of course, if I buy chocolates, I'm probably going to get some off of Mum as well. But that isn't wrong. I think it's because we have this shame of being. We have to be good and, you know, we have to be good people and perfect. So then when we think, oh, well, that looks a bit shady because what I'm really doing there is after this, then but actually we all do that. Like we all do it, you know. And if we accepted that fact in the sense of, you know, that there is still good in us. Yeah, I might do things because I want that when I was younger. And kids are more open with it because they don't give a shit. They'll just do it. Like they'll know. Like my nephew, one of my nephews, when he was younger, he was all over it if he wanted something. And then if he didn't, he wouldn't, you know, but he was just so obvious with his love. But of course, if something happened, he'd be good. He would have been, you know, but he was just so obvious. If he wanted something, he'd come around you, best mate. If not, he'd go off and play outside. You know, and in some ways, isn't that kind of, I quite like the realness thing. That's what he's just,
yes.
Definitely.
But then we don't show that because again, it goes back to authentically us. Oh, I don't want to say I look sly or I look two-faced or look, but actually we all do it. We all kind of, like I don't know why. I follow attractive people on Instagram. What the hell am I going to get from that? Like,
is it because you like want to be with them, or
just because? But what I'm saying is, like, I'm thinking to myself,
bit of a voyeur.
Like if I'm honest with myself, again, authentically us. Right, there's a guy on the thing that I met at a festival 10 years ago. He lives in Poland, doesn't speak much English. But I friended with him 10 years ago. I haven't deleted him. He's quite attractive to look at when he's playing.
Can I have his link, please?
What, sorry?
I want to follow him as well. He sounds really lovely.
Nice. I quite like that European blonde tan look.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like,
I don't get flowers.
I'm authentic. I'm following him because, like you said, Louisa, I'm probably hoping somewhere along the lines he has an epiphany that he just suddenly wants. But what I'm saying is,
you never know. And
what if he's contributing energy to you that you're using for good? What if you just watching that page is you just like, I'm going to follow this page because when I look at this guy, I feel amazing. You know, I'm like getting some of that, and then you can take it and transmute it into what it is for you. I mean, that just occurred to me. I mean,
that's a really good point. What the crux of what I'm saying is, like, these things we do, like the kids buying sweets to get them off the mum, is like we wouldn't probably say that out loud, like, oh, I followed fit people, like, because they're fit, you know. But it's all about.
I love that you said it.
Yeah.
But, like, what I'm saying is, these are the type of things, like we said in the previous conversation, me and Louisa, that why you have those chats all nighters and you feel like you're bonded with someone because you're just dropping all your guards and we're being authentically us. I know we like go off the tangent of the actual name of the show, but that's the same thing. I think with kids, they're a bit more authentic because they don't really care, and then we get shamed for it, and then we go back into our kind of, all right, then I want to show that.
Yeah, because that happens, doesn't it? And you have a kind of fork in the road, roughly speaking, don't you, where you can go moral or go real, and we love real. People love real, no question about it, and they can't help but moralize as well. And a kind of a nasty old person might say, or any age for that matter, yeah, that kid, they're all over you when they want something, and they're not when they're not. And then you could moralize about that, couldn't you? You could hold up the structures of society where all these judgments are in place, horribly judging people like that. Or you could say, good on that kid. I mean, that kid is just being real. And that's what we want. We want more of that in the world. And when the time's right, you say it to the kid, don't you have a laugh with the kid? Are you all over me because you want something? They go, yeah. They go, yeah. No, come on. You don't have to go through all this nonsense. If you want some money, just ask me. And it can get realer and realer, can't it? It can go more and more moral and tied up in all this horrible judgment, or it can get more and more real. Exactly. And that's what we're faced with all the time, it would seem.
Manipulation can be fun if everyone knows what's going on.
Yes.
Right? There's a playfulness in it. So it's like, I manipulate my husband all the time and he manipulates me, and we both know each other is, you know, we know what's going on when it's happening. So it's more playful. The manipulation that becomes this moral idea maybe that you're talking about, Carl, is when one person in the deal isn't aware of what's going on, right? So if we both know, you know, I can tell you, boy, I think it'd be great if you happen to want to get yourself a chocolate bar on the way home. Or, you know, and then Dan will look at me and go, so you want a chocolate bar?
Yeah.
Well, if you brought one home, you know, that's the kind of, so you can have fun with it. So it's not like it should never exist. Otherwise we'd be a boring bunch of people.
Yeah,
Like,
and
and
everyone
that's
knows what "do you want a foot rub" means, right? Like I
It
have
means I want something else.
exactly. I'm never offering just a foot rub, am I? Bloody hell! Can everyone just get that now? It's
Yeah.
not.
If
Well,
we
yeah,
want
start
like,
with it.
it's
sometimes,
more real, isn't it? Like,
sometimes so we can watch TV in bed.
Yeah.
Like, and the kids come in for a cuddle and we watch something. We offer Daddy a foot rub so that he doesn't moan and he's just, oh, okay, then. It's not what you think.
It can be though.
Yeah, it can
hopefully,
be.
other
Okay.
times
All
there
right.
are other outcomes. that
Well, we've
yeah.
got a bit of a party atmosphere, and I think this is a conversation that's going to keep on going and growing, actually. So maybe this is just part one that we're exploring, which is some of the
It's
shame.
already part two.
Yeah, part two of part one. Part one of
2A.
part two. We've
maybe
now
it could be like a series, the shame series.
And you know what? There are a handful of people watching, and one of them we don't know because they are an Australian woman who just likes the look of one of us. Can you imagine?
and they met us at a festival years ago.
15 years ago.
Oh, you know what? I was going to say, hello, Jay. I was going to say,
What the hell's that?
It's wiggling a little bit there. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's my magic wand. Hello, everyone. I'm the Christmas fairy.
I am.
It's affecting your- it's
Something's going on there.
Can you
isn't
turn it off? Because I think it's
It's not on.
it? Too much.
when it's causing. You know how sometimes back in the 80s you used to go and see your granddad, and like their hearing aid would start reacting to other technology around them. That's what was happening then. Your voice was like changing because of the.
Hold on, let me just down a bit.
oh, no, it's nice. Because
Okay.
it's like,
You know why, don't you? It's because the old lady has joined you. I can't help it. These are my hearing aids.
There's some. Is everyone else hearing that?
It's her,
No.
and Beelzebub is with her.
And I'll
in
tell
the
you what.
Hang
background.
on.
Note to self: I am never bending over in Jay's house.
go on. She's back.
There she is.
Go on,
Oh, okay. Better. Oh,
Yeah.
but do you know what? I think it's absolutely top of the range. Bloody head they'll go in. Sod it.
Jay,
No.
hang on, when you
They might
played
just need
that,
calibrating.
it was just like the blog talk days.
There you go.
It's magic.
A quick one, Boo. Before we say hello to Jay, I've got to shoot off at 11. I've got an appointment. I forgot to
worries.
say this before, ladies. I'm really sorry. But I'm glad I was going to say, can we get Jay on to replace me? But she's here, so she's great.
Oh. Well, it's quite magical because Ben and I have been trying to catch up for a few days, and neither of us is, it's been one of those, can't catch up, I'll ring you later, and then anyway, so just this morning it just so happened, and he said, I can't stay, but I just wanted to ring you to let you know I can't speak.
Love that.
I missed the other one the other day because something else caught my attention. I think I had my daughter around, and I missed the other one. So I was really happy to catch up with this one. So that's why I'm here.
Perfect.
Managed to find
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
And
but
I'm sure you've experienced all of those. I'm sure you've been the person that's had like one Reiki session a month, and also done the studies, and also been the person who's learned and also worked full time in healing. So you know the whole spectrum of what we're talking about.
Well, I was really fascinated to hear what you were saying because in my and by the way, I've turned up in my authentic bedroom attire. This is my working horizontal office attire.
Fantastic.
You never know what you're going to get with me.
Carl is wearing trousers today.
Sort of make the effort.
I don't think Carl's got trousers on at all, actually.
No, yeah.
Interestingly, I've been on both ends because, again, in the spiritual community, it's almost like taboo to, you've got a gift, it should be for free, and even I thought that, So at some stage, I had to sort of work out, what do I charge, blah blah blah, and then. For me, I recognise that it's more comfortable for me to have like a sliding scale because I don't want money to be the issue. When somebody really needs my service, and this came down to when I realized it came down to, over the many years I've been doing various things that I do, it was about whether I honored what I do and whether I thought I was worth it. And it didn't have anything to do with money. It really didn't. It was, hang on a minute, I'm going to talk to this person who really needs to hear what I know I can stream through for them from love and consciousness. And yes, it would be nice to have an exchange, but by the way, that's not important. But by the way, when somebody actually asks you for something and they can pay you something, even if it's can I give you a cake? I haven't got any money. Yes, you can, because exchange is really important. They feel they're being given something worthy because they're paying for it. And what's more, they bloody well listen. I've given free readings and free God knows what to people for years, only to find out that they've gone to somebody they've paid and told me what they told them, which is what I told them in the first place.
I've done the same, Jane. It's gutting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That makes you feel worse, because you're thinking, God, I'm invisible now. Not only am I amazing at what I do, but I'm bloody invisible at doing it.
You know, sometimes charging something opens up their receiving,
Yeah.
right? So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
actually opening that up. Like if
Yes.
you don't, it's almost like it's now something that they're looking for because
Mm,
they've given you the money. So now they're open to actually, and it does the same. I don't know. There's always this back and forth,
mm,
but anytime I've ever done something for free for somebody, it's never really felt light unless it was a specific situation,
yeah.
where it wasn't in the idea of my business. It was just something I want to do this for you. Do you want to, if you're interested, I would love to do this for you.
Yeah.
And I get a yes or no whether they're going to receive from it, and because you can tell you can tell sometimes.
You can. And also, I'll just say as well that I've had in the past situations where people, I had this quite a long time ago, and it's happened once or twice, where people have said, oh, so and so, my friend, I want to buy her a reading for a birthday. And
Oh,
I've
God, that's really
No.
hard.
oh, that is the
Doesn't work.
worst.
Yeah.
The worst, because that person hasn't asked for it, and
Yeah.
when they do come, it's like, oh well, go on then. There's a real wall there. You
Yeah.
can feel the energy instantly, and that really sets a bad scene. It really does. And I say to people, look, you know what, I get I'm honest about it now, and I say, look, I get the feeling this wasn't really what you wanted, it was what your friend wanted for you, but I'm willing to give you the money back. It's fine, because I'd rather do that than have something that's inauthentic, and I can't make it up anyway, and I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and interesting what you were saying about the money shame, Louisa. Yeah, with my mum, she gave me £1 a few years ago, and I took my little friend to the local toy shop to buy her birthday gift. I was overjoyed that I could do it for her. And I was only about probably 11 or 12, so I wasn't earning anything. And I got back, and my mum had given me £1 and said, oh, go and get her a present with this. There were no instructions or rules or anything, so I assumed, oh, £1, I can get up to £1. Well, it was a lot of money in those days. And this friend of mine, of course, thought all the birthdays had bloody well come at once, So we get to the toy shop, and I'm going, you can have anything you want in here.
Brilliant.
Very
That's lovely.
magnanimous. Where is she? Yeah. Anything you want. And anyway, she chose this Cindy doll, and it was 15 shillings. So I got like 5 bob change, 25p in today's money. I got home dead chuffed that I'd got some change even. My mother went ballistic in front of the friend.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
More ashamed in my life. And the friend went off quite happily with her dolly. But I just felt shame from that day to this. Literally, I can feel it now, because I my mother's money. But I didn't have any boundaries set. My mother didn't, ever teach me, well, this is, you can spend this much, but don't go beyond it. If she had, I would have been clear about that.
Presumably she got some value. I mean, there's value for her in that, isn't there? Going mad about it. I mean, that's what we like you said, nothing's free, is it? And she would have got something out of that as well.
Yeah.
If not a functional thing, then something.
I want to honor the fact that Ben wants to go at 11. It's 2 minutes past.
No, it's
And I
okay.
didn't want you to feel awkward if you were just going to suddenly like disappear.
No, I was going to wrap up. No, because what I wanted to say with this is because before I do go was to kind of sum up what Sarah was saying and what Jay saying about the free. If we take money out and just take money out of the equation per se, it is everything's an energy exchange. Whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's love, whether it's something I get back because I feel like I've helped someone. If we take money out of it, then there's always an exchange, isn't there? So, like you said, so sometimes I've done stuff for free because I've wanted to, and it felt right. And the exchange I got was I learned something from it. I could see a difference in them, and I just felt that was right to be. So I think there's no kind of set rule of charge or not charge. I think what it is, sometimes when you do stuff for free, I felt inspired to do it, and there was another exchange of some sort. Do you know what I mean? And I trust that. I think that's where kind of, as I wanted to wrap up with from my point, was that now I trust that feeling. So yeah, my default is charge. But if someone said to me, like the other day, someone got in touch, my cousin asked me to speak to, if I could just chat to a guy he knew. So I was like, yeah, no probs, because I had to trust my cousin. And I was like, yeah. We had an hour chat. I just kind of just give him some like tips because he was at very beginning of the journey. I was like, look, I'm not probably for you, but I said, look at these people, look at your mindset, and that was it. I didn't feel like to charge him because my cousin had asked. My cousin never normally asked, he never asked before, and I felt better for doing it. But like, you know, and it was just a minimal, like, right there you go. And I think if we see money as just exchange, like love is an exchange, or an exchange of, then it kind of makes sense that sometimes it will be money and sometimes it will be free. But that's where you just trust that feeling of when it comes naturally, rather than thinking, oh no, I should definitely charge this person, when actually I don't. Your
cousin would have got something from that as well, wouldn't they? Because they were able to recommend you another transaction there.
But it's trusting that, isn't it? And that's why I think what Sarah was basically saying, that's what really kind of really resonated with the idea of it's energy exchange. Whether it's an energy exchange of I bake you a cake to say thank you, or money, it's just taking the kind of clunk out of it and go, well, as long as you get. Oh, sorry, Sarah, go on.
Yeah, I just want to throw in a little caveat. If it's my business and I have a shingle hung and this is what I do, everybody's going to be charged. Unless at the end of the session that day, they don't know that I'm not going to charge them. Okay. They're going to pay me at the end of the session. But sometimes I will say, you know what? I feel like today should be no charge.
Yes.
But they come into it thinking, you know, that just like everybody else, that's sort of the way I do it, because it would be more of I would be looking at it more of a business. And that's how I earn my living, right?
Yeah.
So I would never go to work for somebody else and think, oh, let me know if you want to pay me today or not.
Yeah.
Right. So we shouldn't do that with this type, if that's your serious way you make a living type of thing. I think some people do this and they're in a position where they can be a little bit more flexible. They're kind of maybe just doing it for a little bit of fun, or it depends on how you're framing it and what you have it, sort of what entity you have it sitting in. If it's its own business, then it's a business. If it's you, then that's just my point of view on it.
I
get it. And from another point of view, sort of complementary view of that is like, am I playing games here? That's you know. So I totally get these. The rules are really important, aren't they? And they're important because by having rules, you know if you're cheating or not. And this is an area where people are cheating each other, cheating themselves, if they're not being straight about it. And that's the beauty of these transactional rules in business, isn't it? Is you know what you're up against. You know, you win the windscreen wipers, the dog food, those conversations we've had. But if you ask yourself, am I playing a game here? You know, what is the deal? What is the energy exchange going on here? Is it clean? Is it straight? Or am I still that 5-year-old kid who bought the box of Maltesers and got a massive bollocky? Is this connected to that? And we know, don't we, if we're messing about and cheating and playing games or not? And the rules are a really good reference point for doing that.
Do you know what? I haven't always known if I was playing a game. It's taken me a little while longer to tune into that. So sometimes I have a feeling like I want to do some work, but then feel really uncomfortable charging for it. I mean, not so much anymore, but like when people contact me and say, oh yeah, I'd like to. I had someone recently message me and saying, you've done a reading for me before and I really liked it. I want to gift my friend, which, like you were saying, Jay, I'm like, oh God, no. And I nearly always, I recently did something for a friend and didn't check that the person actually who was going to receive it wanted to. And normally the first thing I do is say, does this person know? And I asked to be put in touch, and I didn't. And that's absolutely fine, because I love that person anyway. It's absolutely fine. But yeah, this person contacted me and said, this is somebody I don't really know. And they said, oh yeah, I want to buy a present. I want this to be a present. And 3 years ago, I was much lower in my price. And so I messaged back and said, okay, well, like, here you go. But I always feel like when someone comes back, like, how do I say, look, just go and look at my website. I mean, isn't that why we have websites, or isn't that why we have a price list somewhere, so we don't have to have that conversation? But I sometimes feel like people come to me and say, hey, how about you do me a reading? And it's just like, oh, and it's so that feeling of still exists for me a little bit.
Great sign. It's a really useful bit of information.
But it took me a long time to like realize that I might have also been playing a game, you know, like that. Why is one of the reasons why I don't want to declare that is because I don't want somebody to say, what, how could you, why would you charge so much, or whatever. I mean, I remember saying to my parents, they were asking me how I was doing. And so they probably thought I was bragging, but I said, oh yeah, I'm doing really well. Someone's just paid me this amount. And they looked at me like their jaws dropped and said, why would anyone pay you that?
So this is the key right here, Louisa. The fear is that someone is going to tell us,
yes,
you're not worth that.
You're not worth it. Yeah.
And so, right. So you're not worth that. That's why, you know, you spent too much money. You're not worth that. You charge. I mean, I've run into this so many times, like where somebody would say, oh my goodness, like, wow, you're charging, you know. I had a lady who I was doing, I used to have a spa, and I did technical facials. So I was doing this facial on her, and she would keep coming back. But every time she would say, oh, well, how much is this? And how much is that? And oh, that's expensive. And this is expensive, and that's expensive. And it was starting to kind of piss me off a little bit, because, you know, I spent I'm trying to do this like relaxing service on this woman, and I wanted to friggin' belt her. Seriously. So exactly. A tapotman, is that what they call that, Carl?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
So she keeps saying that, and one day she said it, and I just put my hands down off of her face, and I said, you know what? Everything in here is expensive. My education was expensive. My time is expensive. My equipment was expensive. The products I'm using on you were in fact expensive. Everything here is expensive, and I totally understand if you would rather find a place that costs a little bit less. I really get it.
Yes.
Wow.
And she
How
did not do that again after, and she did rebook. But at that point, I was like, I don't care if you rebook, bitch. Like, I don't care.
Joe, I will sign out there. That's great. I'm gonna watch the rest later, so I'll go from here onwards. But it's been great so far, and I think we should do part 3, because I think we're just unpicking.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Right, we should do it. It's a series of shame. Right, people. Lots of love, and I'll catch you later.
The talk of shame.
Love you, Ben. Thank you.
That thing about the buying treatments for other people is hilarious. So I when I was a massage therapist, it's a classic buy for someone else gift, isn't it? Or they'll love a massage. And the most awkward ones, or one in particular, is when a wife buys a massage for her husband because she thinks he should relax a bit more. And I did this session once where the guy turned up and said, oh, my wife said I should come and relax a bit more. So we're getting ready to do a massage. And he became sexually aroused at the beginning of this massage. He said, worst possible outcome, isn't it? And he said, oh my God, I can't believe what's happening, or something like that. And I said, it's fine, I'm okay with that. And he said, well, I'm not. And God,
worst present ever.
What did he think I meant by that? And he hastily got himself together and left the building. And it's just the worst.
Carl, I mean,
are you still doing it?
That's it.
I charge more.
Well,
Not so
yeah,
embarrassing.
exactly.
I mean,
That's you're
that's a
double the
different,
price.
yeah, that's a different kind of treatment, isn't it?
It is.
I once had a client who was a mum of somebody who's around my age, or and she bought a reading for her daughter. This was when I learned the lesson, really kind of a big slap in my face. And yeah, her mama said, "Oh yeah, just do a kind of reading that you do for me. I know that's what my daughter needs, and it's a surprise for my daughter." And so I did it for her, and I just got an absolute massive bollocking back from the daughter. And the way it sounded, like it felt like her daughter had felt invaded, like she'd spoken to me as if I'd raped her or something. You know, it was a real insult to have someone deeply go into her psychology, her childhood, her future. And that was my mistake, was you know, I just took it, I don't think it was something personal and emotional and like psycho or like psycho-spiritual kind of thing. I just don't think you can take any chances. You need to really hear from the person you're doing it with.
That's how you figure it out. And another little tip, if anybody,
Yeah.
I used to say, are they already a client of mine? If
That's
they're
such
already
a
a
good
client of
question.
mine, you can totally buy them a session. But if they're not a client of mine, get them something else.
Very
Yes,
good.
that's really good.
Very good.
That's really clear as well, you know, and I think this is it. I think over the years we have been trying to perfect these things, and you just learn, you know, obviously, I don't think there's mistakes as such. I think you just learn through the experiences that you have. You know, you feel it's difficult sometimes because you're not only as an empath, are you feeling into other people's feelings? You're trying to work out whose feelings are what feelings. Are they
Yeah.
feeling? Should I say this? Should I say? It's really a bloody minefield sometimes.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, I had one a few weeks ago, and I was thinking, gosh, you know, this feels like I'm the energy was just like hitting a brick wall, and I was told something different, but the actual experience of what I was going through with this person was just so different from what I'd been told it might be, because this person hadn't actually asked me. They'd come through somebody else, blah blah blah. And in the end, I thought, brilliant, lesson learned. And I
Yep.
just, years ago, when I didn't have as much confidence, I would have gone home to hubby and cried and gone, I say, I'm never doing it again. I'm rubbish at this. I'm terrible. And it wasn't about that. It was about, I honored my part of the commitment. I truly did. And I'm worthy. And I know I'm good at what I do. And when I interact with people that really are on the same frequency and are genuinely asking for what I know I can give them, that reaction and that interaction is absolutely off the scale. And you know, it is
Yes.
all of us have that experience, you know. But again, it's just another learning curve, but we're learning in that process to be so much more authentic and to not beat ourselves up and tell ourselves that we're rubbish because we didn't give them what they wanted. And it's all about transparency and coming into this new energy, which we are in now, of being completely transparent and being open and vulnerable, and which is the most beautiful thing. I think it's the strongest thing. It really is.
And be willing for them to only have what they actually would like to receive.
Yes.
You might have a dozen roses, they might only want one rose.
One,
You
exactly.
know, so that just that awareness of oh my goodness, I could do like this is where, you know, you kind of have to dig in and say, do I want to be superior, or do I want to give this person what they can actually receive?
Yes.
That's a really good point.
That's a brilliant point. Yeah.
I want to ask, and I know we should be wrapping this up. Have we got time for
Another hour?
No, not for another hour. For another 10 minutes or so?
Yeah.
Something that's occurred to me. There was something that you said last week, Sarah, when we were talking about people who maybe put us down. What was it exactly? You know, when somebody tells you something about somebody else whilst
I'm talking about you.
Whilst talking about you, and you had a phrase that you said. You had a phrase that I thought was really clearing in that situation. The reason I ask is both Carl and I, over the years, and especially right now because we're quite available online, we get these emails from people who don't necessarily have a relationship with us, but it appears to them that maybe we do. And they say things like, hey, I'm in your area. I'd like to talk about such and such. Let's meet for a coffee. When actually, usually we might just actually charge consultancy or like people. And I can see how it happens, because there's probably a fine line between us as professionals and us as people. And what we both do is very much a people thing. But there's almost the implication that if we don't meet them as like, how do you define yourself as a professional rather than a person? Because it's quite reasonable to ask somebody to meet for a coffee, even if you don't know them, you know, like if they're a friend of a friend, like I don't know, it's a weird one. I wondered what your thoughts were, and you, Jay, as well.
Well, I think that you can, if it's first of all, in your case, you have meetups that generally you're at the meetups, right? So this is the fact that you're connecting with people one-on-one like this is actually kind of a compliment. You know, this person actually everyone feels like they have a personal relationship with you, even though you've never met them. I mean, I think this is the price you pay for being famous, right? It's like, oh, you know, I know you. I've seen you. I've seen you on GMP, or it's it. And as much as you would like to be able to, the thing is, when somebody, this is the business thing again, the same thing. Someone that's a friend of mine that says, hey, this would be fun for them. So they automatically assume it's going to be fun for you. And so it's about you just saying, wow, you know what? Normally this type of thing is part of my business. And I have for example, in your case, Carl offers a concierge service where if somebody wants to book, I think you do, at least I think I saw that on there, where they can book for with you for a couple of hours. You'll show them around. You'll, you know, talk to them, chat, have a coffee, whatever. That's actually, I'm happy that you would like to meet with me. Here is a link to where you can book that service. Just
because there's also a difference. Like we've also got friends through Carl's work as well. So like if they're hearing us saying that, that's not because I want to charge them.
Of course,
the people we socialize with, the people that we choose to socialize with. But you know, every now and again, you get a complete stranger.
But that's when it's like, can I pick your brain? Right? Somebody that just wants to pick your brain. Well, if somebody says to me, "Oh, can I pick your brain?" What does that mean? Does that mean you want me to listen to you for an hour? Because I think in terms of time, not that I wouldn't listen to somebody for an hour if I felt like it, but to start off with, there's a charge. This is what I do for a living, so there's a charge for it. So if I decide at the end, you know what? I feel like we have a connection here where this is something that I just, for whatever reason, I feel like I don't want to, then that's up to me. See, if you go into it feeling like you have to, then it's not, it feels icky.
Yeah,
that's right.
And from our perspective, we've got beautiful friends, you know, who've come our way through us meeting through like the shared connection of the shows. But I'm not actually referring to like it's not people that we're already connected to. That's the
it's
issue.
Also different for both of us. I mean, I think you're upset on my behalf about this as well, because it doesn't bother me so much. And at the same time, that is a great question, you know, Sarah, along the lines of, you know, if it feels like you have to, or what does it feel like? That's the important question again, isn't it?
Does it feel good?
It comes back to consciousness and awareness, doesn't it? It's like, well, am I getting a buzz out of this? Because I often do, don't I? I get a buzz from people wanting to meet me and chat, and it's often enough. You know, I don't feel aggrieved or bereft by that. And you know, and it's ongoing. That's the other thing, isn't it? You know, how you started your question, like, what do you do about it? What I think is fascinating is
tune into, do you feel good about it or not?
And you know, what's better than a conversation about it, like we're having? That would be a conversation with them about it. You know, and that's where it's really dynamic, because it's really terrifying as well. We're talking about it in the abstract here, aren't we? But if you said to somebody, look, like Sarah just suggested, you hold on a minute, you just said you wanted to pick my brain. What does that mean exactly? Because that's made me feel a little bit uncomfortable because I don't know what I'm letting myself in for. And you could say to that person, couldn't you, what do you mean by pick my brain? And I said, well, I just want, an hour of free advice, basically. I said, well, that's honest. I'll tell you what, buy me lunch and it's a deal. And you can have, and that's a lie.
That's an exchange. Yeah.
Yeah, then it's a real thing, isn't it?
Yep.
Whereas if it's someone who just wants to pick your brain and wants you to buy them.
Well, they don't want to say what it is. They don't want to be.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to get comfortable somehow, haven't you? By asking the questions and opening up and say, well, what's going on? What's running in me now as a result of this question or a situation I find myself in? So
I want to be really, really open here that whilst I just mentioned that, I realise now that we've got people watching who are actually part of Carl's community, and I'm not referring to you at all. At all. Just
hold on a minute, let me just check. Oh yeah, that one is definitely like that.
But I mean, I'm talking like about when somebody who we don't know, we have no relationship with, suddenly just I get that from my astrology channel, and right now I'm at the stage where I'm seeing it's a compliment. But I know as I get busier I'll be like really cheesed off with it. So
but in a grown-up world, I don't begrudge them asking.
No,
it's like, on the one hand,
like,
you can how dare they ask me that? And that's me saying, how dare they ask me, is my lack of willingness to look at what's gone on in me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, of course they should be able to, people should be able to do what they think is right. They ask that question, and it's up to me, isn't it, to deal with it, whatever they put
a lot of times they really aren't aware of how busy you might be. Because they don't they shouldn't be. So that's the thing. Somebody else isn't aware. Like if somebody says to you, let's say you had a day and you're doing everything, you're so busy and you're barely getting everything done, and then somebody says, hey, do you mind if I just, because they're like relaxing and they just want to like do this thing with you, and you're like, get out of my life, or you can say, you know what, today is not a good day, or I don't really have time for this type of thing with the schedule that I have. I wish I did.
And there are those amazing days of flow, aren't there?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of like, a Tony Robbins sort of character who's got back-to-back meetings, and someone stops him in the street. It's like, it's a scene from Shallow Hal, isn't it, where he gets stuck in a lift with Jack Black. But, people who get a lot done, it's like, someone runs up to Tony Robbins in the street in this mythical example and says, Tony, I'm a big fan. I need your help with something. And Tony Robbins is thinking to himself, well, what's actually going on right now? I'm walking to my car. And he might say, you've got 5 minutes. I'm walking to my car. You can walk with me. Go. What have you got? And that's magic then, isn't it? And it's like, it's not both people in that weird situation, not a normal one, not an agendered situation, but a random, a chance occurrence. One of them asks the question, the other one says, well, why not? And beautiful, magical things can happen like that. And it's like, that's where, if you want something done, ask a busy person comes from. But then if someone tries to be busy in order to become a successful person, that's when it all goes wrong again. Because these things are so subtle and fine, aren't they? And magical, really. They are the things of magic rather than rule-based. And of course, we need the rules to point us in the right direction. And then we get so rule-bound that the magic stops. It's just so wonderful.
Right. So every yes that you give, though, affects, or everything that you decide to say yes to affects the other entities in your life. So like, just speaking for like Louisa, if she were particularly perturbed, you saying yes to something might mean she gets something taken away from her.
That does happen.
If you're the commodity, right? So you're the commodity. It's like, if Carl says yes to this, then my family loses him for X number of hours, or there might be the feeling of that. So there is a stake in it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
And then mostly it's all good. But I mean, this is the dynamic of the new way of people working, isn't it? So many people work from home now, and
it's making us, it's kind of almost forcing us into being more authentic, because we can't ignore these feelings. Years ago, maybe we would have gone, oh, it's okay, it's just, and just gone along with it. But nowadays we can't do that anymore. We are much more transparent to ourselves, not only with other people, but with ourselves. And I can't hide anything anymore. Not that I could, but I've got a face that can lie. And my emotions are out there. That's where they are. and many years ago, when I was on the circuit, you know, when I first met Carl, for instance, around that time, there were lots of people wanting to hitch their wagon to my star, so to speak, and we've all had them. You know, they just want to do that because it's like almost living vicariously through you if they're your mate, you know. And I had this particular woman, and she was quite wealthy, you know, and she used to do the circuit as well, but she used to almost like this little, I used to think of her as a little black widow spider. Wherever I was, she'd come out on the web, and it's like, oh, could I just ask your advice? Could I just? And what she wanted was a free reading. And at the time, I was charging quite a bit because yes, it was my living as well, you know. And I actually got this gut feeling every time I saw her was, I know what she's going to do, and she did every single time. And I'd try and talk to her, and in the end, I just out and out just cut her off completely. I thought, I can't even deal with your energy. You're not interested. I tried telling her. I tried to say to her, look, you know, I do charge. Oh, I know, but, you know, I thought maybe we could have an energy exchange, but I didn't actually want what she was giving me.
Right.
So
You have to actually want what they're wanting to exchange with you. It's like, I don't care for like mincemeat pie. So don't try to give me a mincemeat pie.
Exactly.
Noted, Sarah. I won't do that.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, one thing that I found is I've gone into a swap with somebody who didn't have a skill that I wanted, but knew that they had a skill that one of my other friends wanted, who had a skill that I wanted. And so we've gone into like these threesome reciprocations and things like that. I'm not really always that worried if things do reciprocate, because if I really enjoy being with the people and I feel like it's an expansive thing, then
But that is reciprocation, though. If you
it
feel
is, because you love
expansive.
their company. So
that's it, isn't it? That's what we've
yeah.
been talking about this morning, is like checking out what's going on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you can't necessarily quantify it, but you do know how you're feeling as a result of being in that energy, don't you? And that's always going to be the guide ultimately, isn't it? And it's like, I don't know, it's what you said, Jay. I think, you know, we have moved on, haven't we, from a society where everyone knew what they did, and you didn't ask someone whose job it wasn't to do something, you know. I don't know when this heyday was, but in the height of the industrial age, everyone was in a department, weren't they? Everyone had a job title.
That's exactly
and
it.
pieces of paper got moved around. Yeah, we've moved on, haven't we? It's all broken down.
Yeah, this conversation is reflecting exactly where life has taken us at the moment.
Yeah.
It's like we were saying the other day with a friend and I were saying, God, nothing's the same. And absolutely, you know, everything's just different. Years ago, we knew when Christmas was. We knew what to do around Christmas. And don't forget the element of time, which is condensed. So everything's moving at the speed of light for everyone. So it's like everything's whizzing around all over, and we're trying to stand in the middle of that in an authentic space, which is just, no, this is me. And suddenly this warp speed thing goes past you, and you go and you get dragged along with it. And it's just really difficult to be authentic in every single moment of your life. But I think, to be honest, we're all doing a bloody good job.
So true. Because, you know, that in that same age where a young, like in a bloke's example of going to school, leaving school at 16, getting a man's suit, going to work, getting one business card printed. You could get 10,000 business cards printed because you knew you were going to be doing that for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
Can't do that now.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think we have the chance to define ourselves at every touch and turn, every second. And I think, Louisa, I hear you, you know, and again, there's all that part of you that must be feeling like, well, I've got to pay the bills. I've got this, I've got children, I've got, you know, all of that comes into the mix as well. And that's really
buy a house at some point.
Exactly. You know, but also there is what I call the magical side, which is when you're totally in your flow and you're being really authentic, which is not easy to do. But when we are, it's when magical things happen. And I still I've had something happen this week which was off the scale. It was absolutely phenomenal. And I'd love to chat to you about it some other time, but now's not the time.
Part 4.
Are we doing 4 parts on this now?
Well,
is that part 4 of part 2?
And
Yes.
And it's amazing what that brings in, because I feel personally that, you know, whatever's going on here, there is a magical kind of alchemical energy going on with all of us. And when we're in that space as well, which is where I kind of feel I'm at right now, is like, it's all the clunky stuff when we're thinking about how to do, what to do, blah, blah, blah. It's all valid, but we're moving into a space now where that is entirely possible. So whatever we want is coming into the mix. It's coming online. We're all going online now with our authentic selves and the authentic flow. Something said to me the other day, you don't give love away, Jay. You are love. And in that love, you are flowing to and from all the time, the constant flow. When the mind gets in the way and goes, oh yeah, but, it stops the flow. It's like turning off the tap. So I would just say, stay in that flow, because good things are coming to you. They really, truly are.
Yes.
Everything that you want is in that space. It's in that space, and it cannot not come to you. That's
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. And every day's a new practice moment, isn't it? It's all about practice. Every day brings a new moment to practice the receiving of that, or the practice of it. You know, literally just to keep having that as a possibility and as an awareness. And it didn't quite work out today, but there's another day tomorrow, hopefully, God willing.
Yeah.
And I think sorry.
No,
I just wanted to say, like, along the lines of that's where I feel like the plan comes in, or the guidelines to keep it clean. If you have some, then you can veer away from those a little bit, so that you can be in that space. But if you don't have anything and you're a very open person, you can be pulled into things that take you off of your own track, and what you, or I don't even want to call it a track after you just said all that beautiful stuff, Jamie, because it's not even a track anymore.
Oh, no,
But it's, I just call it being your own life manager, just being a bit of a life manager for yourself. Treat yourself like, if you don't, what is that line? If you don't stand for anything, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah.
I love that.
So just this, if you have that framework, then you have something to reflect back to, so you're not spending time thinking about that. Right? If you say, this is the way I do things like this, requests like this is how I handle them, and then you just follow the process, and some of the things you might want to go into and be that flowing, and you can sort of have a combination of both, I guess is what I'm saying, where if you're actually have that structure, a little bit of structure, then it gives you something to fall back on, so you don't feel like the bad guy. You know, where this is the way it works for you.
For some reason, it's gone quite chaotic here, so I think we have to end the show. Or do I have to end the show? Have you destroyed the studio completely and let all the animals in? There are better ways of ending shows.
I can't hear a thing that's being said right now because I've just broken my headphone.
Headphone.
Your headphone. I'm so sorry. I heard a cat outside meowing, and as I went to open the door, I tripped over my headphone, and I've broken it. I'm so sorry, Carl. It looks like we need to go shopping straight after this.
Let's just wrap it up then.
All right. I would love to.
Jimmy, come here.
I'm going to have to wrap this up because obviously I can't hear a damn word anyone's saying. But what I am going to say quickly is just fill in the last few comments and then sign off. So first of all, thank you guys. Sorry I can't hear you. So I might as well take these off. Squire of the Shire say, we get that quite a lot when we're busy or on a break. They say, I know you're busy, but can we just tell you this? When you get time, can you have a look at this? We appreciate they come to us, which means a lot to us, and we feel valued and that we could help them. Well, most of the time. Benjamin is saying, oh my God, Jay, yes, magic is all around us when we're in flow. Yeah. The more authentic I am, the more magic I tend to experience, which is beautiful. Squire of the Shires is saying, helping each other, sharing knowledge, reducing anxiety and raising those positive vibes. Viv's saying, hi, Viv. I could just listen to you guys all day long, spewing gold. So lovely. And thank you all for everything you shared today, and thank you to everyone in the who's listening. Thank you to everyone, including Ben, who's not here. Thank you to anyone that listens in later. We love you, and we hope to connect with you again for, oh my God, other things are about to be destroyed at the other end of the studio by the cats. So we are going to have to go, but we hope to talk more about this. It's an ongoing conversation. But anyway, love you all.
Thank
Have a good
you.
day.
Have a
Bye.
fantastic weekend. Bye for now.
Bye for now.